There I am.
All right. Geo. Um, hmm. And we can. He wanted to get on, but he couldn't get on his computer. All right, we're going to go. Hey, it's Hugh Ballou. I'm going to have to edit that part out. This is the Nonprofit Exchange. We have a special episode today. I have some friends on here, and maybe some more that'll come during the time. We're talking about the SynerVision Leadership Empowerment Symposium, and we've done them all over the country. And I have some friends here that have attended and been presenters, and I wanted to get some firsthand testimonies about what they've experienced and what we're gonna experience. So let me introduce the panelists today. First, my co-host, Russell Dennis. Welcome, Russell.
Happy December 19th, and we're rolling closer to the big day. And it was a very good year.
Yeah, it's been a very good year for you.
Yes, yeah, it's been a good year in a lot of ways, and I've had some challenges, but when you focus on the good, you don't give in to the challenges.
You're an inspiration. I should call you every day to get inspiration. You're always a good inspiration. And one of your neighbors and our mutual friends is Flo Lattery. She's also in Denver, Colorado, Mile High City. Flo, welcome.
Thank you, Hugh. It's good to be here.
And down in Clearwater, Florida, we have the one and only David Dunworth. Marketing Partners is your company?
That's correct, Marketing Partners. And I'm glad to be here with all of you and all of our viewers. Looking forward to a great interview session today.
Super. We're going to talk about the SynerVision Leadership Empowerment Symposium. And I want to first, we don't give dates on the podcast. We'll send people to the page and you can find the dates, because people might be listening to this podcast a year from now. And we do one of these, we do 12 a year from SynerVision. We do 12 of these one-day events somewhere in the country, everywhere from Southern California, New York City, Chicago, Florida. I've done 2 in Melbourne and 2 in Vero. And those are repeat locations for us. And David, we might want to consider the other coast, St. Pete, Clearwater, somewhere on that side, Tampa.
I think it would be valuable, Hugh, to spread our wings a little bit across the state, because there's a lot of people that I think might be able to use our message.
Absolutely. So I'm up in the format a little bit. I've upped the game as I've gone through the process for the last 18 months, 2 years. There's a handout, a workbook, which you all are familiar with. And basically in the workbook, I've started out with what I've learned in 31 years of doing this. But when I've had David be a presenter and when I had Russell be a presenter twice, I've learned that there are other people that have had really good content. I had some good presenters in Winston-Salem, and in Vero and Melbourne, I also had Shannon Grunich. She couldn't be here. She's on another live event right now with the chamber down in Palm Bay. But we're going to have more presenters. So basically what's going to happen from this point on, 2018 and going forward, is that we'll give content on the 4 pillars, the leadership piece, which is the skill set and the planning piece. We're going to talk about the relationships. How do you build your teams, your boards, your volunteers? How do you incorporate your stakeholders, your systems? Well, we got ideas. So how do we take the ideas we got and create revenue out of them, which is one of Russell's long suits. He has many. And how are we going to market to people, which is one of David's skill sets out of many. And then how do we hold it all together? So the balance piece is how do we manage multiple priorities? So we will have 4 or 5 presenters in each one-day event. And then throughout the year, the detailed content will be dripped to the attendees. So you'll have the top line trainings, and then you'll have the content, and once a month we'll have a Q&A session. So we're redoing the SynerVision Leadership Foundation community site, and it'll be up and running before the first one, the new site with new and interactive, and then we'll have multiple presenters at each event. And so I think it's time to go back to Denver. It's time to go to west coast of Florida and the East Coast both. And we're looking at Salt Lake City, we're looking at San Diego again, and we're looking at a number of coming back to Chicago again. So I want to start out with Flo. You and I have been friends for 5-6 years, something like that. And I said, let's do this in Denver. So you helped me network with some people, and we had a group, and we partnered with the Better Business Bureau there. But as you've seen me teach over the years at CEO Space, and we've talked other times, and I've been to Denver many times. You sat through this very patiently, this symposium. Give the listeners a top level view of what they can expect, because the content fundamentally won't change. We're going to change how we deliver it, but give people an idea what to expect and how important is it. Your mic is muted.
Oh, I'm muted?
You're good.
No, I'm not. I am not muted.
Okay, I just unmuted you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so the perception of nonprofit. Now, when we say nonprofit, there's a certain connotation around that. How you get your money, how you structure, and all of that. And I'm on the board. I've been on the boards of a number of nonprofits. I'm on one right now that's very active and doing a lot of great work. But what the biggest takeaway from me from that weekend was, how do we get structure? How do we get a foundation under us? And not thinking of a nonprofit as some other entity as opposed to being a business. It is a business, and it should be treated as a business, treated like you would a for-profit business. And I think that's the problem that a lot of nonprofits have. And I have a friend here in Denver who has a great nonprofit, but I was having a conversation this morning with someone as why isn't that particular entity being looked at for what it really can be in terms of raising funds, having a business structure like you'd have a for-profit business, a CEO and a COO, and pay these people. Why isn't that being done for a nonprofit that's really positioned to explore that train of thought? And I think people like that would benefit from coming to your symposium and learning that what they can do, that there is that option, that you can build a thriving business, whether you call it a nonprofit or not. And so I think that the education there is, what is a nonprofit? How do you structure it? What is the potential? What you can do? How you can create a real business and make it successful. And
thank you for lifting that up, because it is our goal to teach people that run charities, which we call this the nonprofit exchange, but I'm using the word charity a lot more. It helps people think in different terms. It's a tax-exempt charity which must make profit. So thank you for lifting that paradigm up, and you have brought up some good topics here. Now Russell is one of the official wayfinders with SynerVision Leadership Foundation. We've changed the paradigm of the consultant to the wayfinder. We actually teach people how to fish rather than give them a fish. We build strong leaders in organizations. So Russell, you came along, and I think the first time you participated was in Melbourne, wasn't it, a couple of years ago?
It was, yeah. I managed to get to one of Shannon's events. I hadn't seen her for some time up until then, to actually go through an event and talk about, at that particular time, just different sources of funding and some advantages, disadvantages of them. And when you talk about money, you have people's attention. But you can't really talk about fundraising or money in any meaningful sense without going back to the basic fundamentals of who are we, what's our value proposition, what's the problem that we solve, and who wants what we have? What do we want to get out of it? And so I'm in the process. I'm putting the finishing touches on the fundraising course. And it's an overview course, and there's a lot of videos, a lot of content, a lot of information on resources that people can have, because you can't really get it all in the one shell. But it's really thinking about who you are and going to that core and talking about the value that you bring and not showing up with your hat in your hand. And that's a whole dynamic that's going to take a little bit of time to shift. That's why we've got guys like David with brilliant marketing minds that can help us shape that. But it takes some digging for people to really get at the core of who they are. A lot of people think it's woo-woo. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Strengths Finder. Mm-hmm. But I remember doing that a few years ago, and one of my 5 top things is what they call woo, which is winning people, winning over others. And so that's bringing people around that are like-minded to support you. And your people are your most valuable asset. Money becomes tools. But it's all about a paradigm shift and really getting out there, understanding, hey, we're providing value just like any other business. That value has to be paid for, and people get a valuable benefit. And the word value is almost never used in nonprofit circles.
Wow, good words there. I take a great risk anytime I'm in a room with Russell, because it makes me have to stretch to keep my game going. He's a high performer. I remember the first time you presented in Melbourne, because Russell shows up as very polite, mild-mannered, like Superman. He's got a S under his shirt. He just shows up, and then he started presenting, and people are going, "Whoa, who's this guy?" So I always try to get people better than me, which sometimes isn't too hard. But with Russell, I know he's better, and he really, Russell, you've brought an incredible amount of experience and wisdom and thought into all the presentations you've done. And so thank you for being a part of this. And we're going to incorporate you in more. We're going to make you travel some. We're going to incorporate you into some more in the future. So we really, the 3 main issues that people bring, I ask people at the beginning of the day, what is it you want to deal with today? What question do you have, or what issue do you want to make sure that we deal with today? And number 1, it's leader burnout. Number 2, it's board underfunctioning. And number 3, it's lack of sufficient revenue. And so we teach them the strategy, and that way Russell can do his magic. Also, David, one of your hats is marketing. And you really can't do a marketing job unless the company has identified their unique value proposition, their mission and vision, and who their target market is. So say something about your experience, both as a listener. You've been patiently sitting in these symposiums, but you've also presented a little bit, not nearly enough, and I'd like to get you more involved in the future. But talk about it from both sides. What you saw when you were a presenter, the interchange with the people, and what you saw from the viewer side.
Well, what I've seen in the past with my limited exposure, I've seen the symposium twice, and one of which I participated in. But I want to make a point about what Dennis just got finished saying, and it's just like small businesses who have a mindset of scarcity, and that mindset needs to shift from one of scarcity to abundance. Everybody's worried in the nonprofit world is worried about, we only have so much money, so we can only do so much. Well, if, as Flo said, it should be treated like a business, the only difference between a nonprofit or a charity is that the funds reserve account in a charity would normally go to Uncle Sam's tax or payout for salaries. And that's the only difference. That money needs to come in. You need to sustain yourself as a entity. You need to fulfill your mission, and if you focus at it from a business standpoint rather than a social service, there are options for generating more revenue are abundant, well beyond that of writing for grants and that sort of thing. And that's what I see is a critical component that's missing. Number one is the mindset, as Russell pointed out. And number two are the marketing strategies and tactics that can be employed for little or no money that will generate a return on investment. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We really, back to what Flo was saying, we really haven't thought of our charity as a business. Now,
Right.
And Russ will tell you from his years with IRS that we got Gio Rupert joining us. Gio's been an attendee before, and I asked him if he could weigh in on what. Hello, Gio. Thank you for being here. He had some technical issues logging on here. So Flo brought up the topic of business and thinking of it as a business. Now, as Russell will tell you, IRS has very strict guidelines on what happens with the money. And it's really important that we have a board that oversees the financials and where the money flows. But we really have to generate the revenue, so we have to worry, so we have something to worry about. And I find a lot of charities are underwater. So David, you talked about the return on investment. Say a little more about that.
Well, whatever is expended in terms of generating revenue, whether it be time, effort, or financial resources as a seed, you expect to return at least as much, if not 2, 3, 5, 10 times as any small business would. Rather than the mindset of let's utilize our money to serve the community as much as we can, and then we'll wait for more money to come in magically. We set out a marketing and strategy, a marketing tactics and strategy campaign to where it's identified in advance and budgeted for so that we can establish itself as a business, expecting to generate not only X amount in grants, but Y amount in revenue generating campaigns. So much again, as Flo mentioned, it has to be treated like a business rather than a cookie jar with only 6 cookies in it.
Right.
Yeah, we worry about how much of the pie we get, how big is our slice of the pie, when we should think about increasing the size of the pie. Gio Rupert down in, you're in Melbourne, are you, Gio?
Hello, yes. How are you?
Good. Welcome. You had trouble logging on. You're in Melbourne, Florida.
Yes, I am. The beautiful Space Coast, East Central Florida.
Yeah, and both David and Gio have been guests on the Nonprofit Exchange and have given us really a wealth of information around the marketing piece. And it's interesting. There's a quote from the composer, conductor Ralph Vaughan Williams that said, music did not reveal all of its secrets to just one person. And we could say that about leadership or about marketing. And so, Gio, thanks for joining. You attended an event way back. And by the way, we're sharing with our listeners, the Nonprofit Exchange listeners, about the symposium, the Leadership Empowerment Symposium, which is fundamentally all the tools you need to up your game and run your charity or your business. And actually, a third of the attendees have been small business owners over the 25 different cities where we've done this. Actually, 22, because we repeated Melbourne and we repeated Vero Beach twice. So, Gio, one of the things that you may not know is once you pay for registration, you get to come back. So once you're in, you're in, and you get to come back, because each time we offer this, it has enhancements. So there's more things to learn and more ways to grow. So I'm doing this today to let people know more about the symposium and it can come to a city near where everybody lives. We just need somebody in that location to help us pull together an audience of people who want to learn and want to do better earning their charity. So Gio, you came, you and I met like a day or two before, and I twisted your arm and you came anyway. And so what was your experience at this day-long event that you attended?
It was great. It really was an eye-opener, if you will, to really getting some good insight into, how to just kind of a change in thinking and a way of thinking. And I left there with a renewed sense of ability in myself. And also I think the way you talk kind of about team building and leadership in teams was very important, and I particularly remember the exercise you gave us of having to raise a bar and trying to get everybody's mind and people to all work together to really accomplish a task, and how seemingly easy it can be on the surface, yet when you get down to it and when each is assigned and each has a responsibility and is equally responsible for bringing that task to light and seeing it through to its conclusion, how that really has to be all in, and everybody really has to be part of it and really focus together. And so that I still talk about it, because I when we first started doing it, I said, oh, this is a piece of cake. And then we started doing it, and the cake became more like brownies and then crumbled cookies. So it was it was interesting to say the least. But I really enjoyed it, and you got a magic touch when it comes to really conveying the importance of leadership, and especially in nonprofits. I come from a couple of different nonprofit jobs, along with my for-profit business, and what you teach is sound on all levels.
Well, thank you. And you came from the perspective of a small business owner, but
yes.
It was so a third of the audiences have been small business entrepreneurs. A third of the audience have been clergy, rabbis or pastors. A third of the audience has been nonprofit executives, leaders, board chairs, executive directors, that kind of thing, or a chamber president. So you came from the standpoint of an entrepreneur. Did you find the content was just as useful for your business as it was for you thinking about nonprofits and working with them?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It because that translates, and I think I just kind of caught the tail end of David mentioning, nonprofits, what do you call them? Charitable organizations are businesses, and whether that nonprofit be a 501c3 or a 501c6, they don't, and my experience, and we've all had it, is that nonprofits do not think of themselves as businesses, and unfortunately they really need to. So coming from, and I've always looked at the nonprofits I've worked with as from an entrepreneur's eye, if you will, because that's how I think. I think business, and so really anybody who's got something that has a balance sheet to it, let's put it that way. If you've got a balance sheet, then this is something that you really need to do is come in and experience this and understand the concepts and the theories that Hugh's going to share with you, because it really is important and can help everybody. And the third one, the clergy, that was what my grandmother said I should have been. So I kind of found out all three of them. Priest or politician, that's what she said. You're going to be a priest or politician. I've leaned more towards the politician, but still, keep the priest aside. So.
Oh, that's hilarious. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she wasn't too disappointed.
No.
So, Russell, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that if Gio's going to be a proper politician, he's got to get a lot angrier than he.
You know what? I want to be the passionate politician, Russell. That's what I want to do. I want to change it. I want to change it. Chances are slim to nil. But
Right.
I want to throw it to Flo. Get some sensibility here. Flo, what was the most useful thing that we did during the day that you talked to people throughout the day, and there were quite a wide range of people on there. I see our friend Eddie Blackwell is on the Facebook feed here, who was in attendance there. But what do you think, judging from what people said and what you experienced, what's the most useful thing that happened that day?
Oh, there were several things that came out of there. One of the thoughts that I have is strategy. You need strategy, whether you're a for-profit or you're a charitable organization. What is your strategy? What is your foundation? What does your team look like? What is the functioning of your board? I think one of the big takeaways for me was when you talked about boards and who should be on a board and what they should bring to the board and how they participate and support the organization. Those were really eye-opening for me also. And so having gotten on boards myself, the first thing I expect when I get on a board is what is my role and responsibility? And I have gotten off of boards because I didn't have that. And they couldn't articulate. You asked me to be on the board, what do you want me to do? And that just wasn't forthcoming. And it was not a structure where each person on the board had a role, a defined role and responsibility. So we showed up for meetings and then we left the meetings and then maybe we did something or maybe we tried to organize something, but there was not a specific outline of what was the goal of the organization, what are the plans they have, what are the deliverables, and what role I would play in those deliverables. And so I've always appreciated that having people on a board is not just assembling people you like to and call them your board members, but they need to have specific roles and they need to be contributing to the organization in some way.
Those are really, I got to watch what I say. You remember everything I tell you.
Yes, I do. I still have my book.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So, David, what about you? How would you answer that question? What do you think was the most important thing that you saw, or do you think people resonated with that you met in the room?
In terms of resonating, your messages about leadership and burnout and avoiding that through a structured approach to the operation made the biggest impact on me. I think the panel or the audience that when I sat at panel that time was kind of glazed over when I spoke of marketing because they're not of the opinion, or weren't of the opinion, I should say, that raising money beyond the grants scheme is somebody else's job. So unifying the message and the leadership of the organization to get on one set of sheet music, notice that little jibe.
That's good.
It's paramount to do in order to move an organization forward. So Flo's right. It's got to be structure. It's got to be a strategy. It's got to be aligned tactics and responsibilities that have to be followed through.
Gio, you want to add to this conversation?
Really, it's concurrence. It's concurrence. You guys speak as eloquently as I do. So I loved it. I really love to listen to, especially when Russell starts talking. Then it's all just
It's always risky when I throw it to Russell. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it always turns out to be pretty good.
It is. It's always excellent. I got to watch my game because he shows me up just about every time, and I like it. It's really good. So my excuse is my age and mental condition. He doesn't let me slide with that one. Had to work it in, Russ. So, Russell, what do you think was some of the most important? Now, I know the piece that you did on funding. People took lots of notes and they wanted to have conversations. That was a key piece. But we'll just say that right up front. It was a key piece for me because I learned things from all the presenters, which is really great. So, what do you think was the key learning for the day, based on your experience and then based on what you observed in the room?
Well, with the group that we had there, I think the one thing that really came through in every piece of information that we talked about was an aha moment for everybody in the room when they came to the realization is that if we don't take time to do this up front and go through all of these steps, if we don't take time to do it and get it right up front, when are we ever going to have time to go back and do it over again if we missed something? And I think that was the biggest takeaway for everybody, because it's, you know, this, a lot of this stuff in old days was called woo-woo, but you really have to think these things through, because this is all about who you are and what you're about, because that's what sort of drives the bus, and that's the level you connect with people on. And you got to have that shared vision and that shared goal. And more importantly, you got to know what you don't know. And that seems to be a difficulty that I've experienced personally. There's just been times where I didn't know what I didn't know, and it came back to bite me later. And if that's in a critical area, it can actually make the difference between whether you keep your doors open or you have to close them.
Absolutely. There are half of the nonprofits that are formed every year will close, and because they're not successful for a number of reasons. Money is just one of those. So, Russell, if you're listening to this, you want to find out, you can go to leadershipworkshop.org, leadershipworkshop.org, and find out about the general principles, what you're going to learn, and then you can find the city, click on the link that are scheduled. We have several, always we're scheduled several ahead, about 90 days out. But if you want one near you, there's a link there, and you can email us and say, let's talk about having one in my city. So Russell, who should attend this?
This is something that you could have any member of your board of directors attend. But if you've got really committed and dedicated volunteers, you've got people that are thinking about investing in you and sponsoring you, it's not just for nonprofit leaders. I would have people from foundations, from government agencies, and people that actually go out and look to fund the work of nonprofits attend, because there's some insights they can gain that can help them look at some projects differently when they think of the process nonprofits have to go through. And I really think it's important, and one of the things that I'm emphasizing in my new course is to get out there and think about some of the ways that people that fund projects think, whether they're a donor advised fund or a foundation, because if you can understand that dynamic, and here's the thing that most people don't consider, it's every bit as difficult to give that money away as it is to get it. Because these folks don't want to lose, they want to make winning bets and be certain that they're betting on projects that are going to get a return, a social profit. That's in terms of the impact they make for people and to operate at a surplus. So there's that dual bottom line that's almost never discussed. So anybody that's interested in solving a social problem, I think, it would be good for them to attend it.
So we have Dr. Theon Gordon. She was in transit and just got to her computer. And welcome to the conversation. We've been talking about our experience at the symposium, and one of the many topics that she's an expert on is board development. And so, Dr. Gordon, we beamed you in from LA to Vero Beach, and you did everybody was like amazed. Oh wow, I didn't know this stuff. So what Russell's just talking about is that we don't know the stuff we don't know, and a lot about board developments, things we don't know. So welcome to the conversation. We're doing a promo about the symposium because we have plans. We're recording this in 2017. We don't know when people are going to be listening, but our pattern is to do one in some city 12 times a year. Doesn't exactly work out to one a month, but it almost works out to once a month. So we're talking now about who should attend the symposium. So why don't you weigh in on who should attend, and based on what you know, what do you think some of the important values are that people get when they attend?
Okay, hey everybody. It's so good to see everybody. Flo, David, Gio, Russell, everybody that's there, and of course you. And hello to our viewing audience. I am excited for this symposium that's coming up. Hugh has been talking about it for a while, and we've done a couple of small symposiums back and forth in different places. And of course, some of these chats. Who should attend this in terms of the 501c3 world, or what I call the social profit sector? Anybody and everybody who wants to share their story and get it out to people who need to know the work that you do. We are a community of people that provide services beyond what other people do with their products and different things in the world. We provide things that make a difference in the world, that make an impact. And in the social profit sector, I'll explain why I say that a little bit. My company is Beyond Story Consulting and Training. And with Beyond Story, I take you beyond your story into success. And in particular, with 501c3s and social profits, I encourage us to pay attention to the words that we use. We are the only industry that say what we don't do before we say what we do. And the work that we do is so important, we need to say what it is. We do social profit work. We do on-purpose causes. So instead of saying, oh, I'm a nonprofit, I encourage people to relabel yourself. And that's why I call us social profits. So attending this symposium would be anyone who wants to advance their mission, anyone who wants to see their vision fulfilled in a truer way, anyone who has a dream like I do, that some of these social profit causes will not be needed in the world in the future. I would love for there to be a day where we didn't need a foster care social profit organization, because children were cared for by the communities in which we lived in. So anyone who has a cause, a mission, a vision of changing the world, you should be at this symposium. And in terms of the piece that I work with and that I think is most vital and important, of course, fundraising is one of them, development, making sure your programs are intact, all those things are important. But the crux, the structure, what I call the foundation of nonprofits is your board and how your board governs and how they work with the executive directors and how they work with the people that are in the organization. Board governance is one of the key, most critical pieces of any organization. And unless your board is on track and understanding their fiduciary responsibility to the organization that they sit on that board for, they are not doing their job. Unless they really understand it, they get it, and they're walking the talk, they're not doing the job. And I think board governance and relating board chairs with executive directors is one of the most important and crucial factors that you can have to have a self-sustaining and a longevity, a nonprofit with longevity, or a social profit with longevity. So that's one of the reasons you should attend, and I really hope to see you there. I can't stay on for too long, but I'm going to sit in and listen in for what everyone else has said. And Hugh, thank you for inviting me to the call, and for all of you who are listening. I want to see you at one of the symposiums in one of the months, any place in the country where Hugh has it, or even if he takes us out of the country, which would be fun. Thanks.
Yeah, we should go to the islands in the winter. Of course, it's always nice in Southern California. It's chilly here. Maybe when you come here in March, it won't be that chilly. So, Gio, Flo, David, you want to weigh in on why people should come?
Well, you know, something that, and in fact, thank you, Dr. Gordon. I wrote down social profits. There you go. That's because I love that term, and it's something new, and hey, you always learn something. I'm glad I got on. You know what? The people who really should attend are the people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit, because I tell you what, that's, you know, I talk to a lot of people, and they, you know, especially in the community, I'm going to start a nonprofit, or I'm going to get into this, and I've been on nonprofits before. I've sat on boards and this kind of thing. Until you are actually in the throes of developing one of these and organizing it from the leadership side, you have no clue what you are in for. An executive director doesn't show their cards 99% of the time. You know, they can tell you a little bit about what's going on. You can see some of it as a board member and learn, but you need to know going in what you're getting into, what you should be prepared for, what you should know, and you should know the things that you teach you, because 50% of them go out of business. Dr. Gordon, I was when you said I would love to see that we don't need them anymore, I definitely echo that thought. I also think that we get too many folks who jump in and start a nonprofit because they think they can do something better, instead of really going back and maybe having their whole board go to one of these trainings and become a better organization, so there doesn't need to be another one started up who is also going to try and get a piece of the pie, who also means that, you've got to have more volunteers, and you just start diluting that pool to the point where it becomes unsustainable. So.
Great. Flo and David, if you want to weigh in, then I'll have one final question, and I'll start with, if you're still here, Theon, I'll start with you. But who should come, David and Flo?
Everybody that's already been mentioned, and I would say local government needs to be there. At least a local government representative. It could be somebody's city council people and so forth, because we need them as well to help support the cause. And other than that, Dr. Gordon, I second the emotion.
I don't care what she's selling. I want it. Flo. Hang on. Go ahead.
So I totally agree with Gio about those who should come, but I also want to invite, he's saying if you're thinking about starting a nonprofit, you should be there. But I see so many foundations, nonprofits, charities, whatever you want to call them, who have started. They're in, it's all about their passion. They're passionate about what they're doing. They want to be successful, but they don't have the foundation to support them to get to where they want to go. If you are already there, you're running around doing all the things you should be doing. And, we've had an experience with someone I introduced to Hugh, who is very successful at what he does, but he's doing it all by himself. All by himself. He's the head cook and bottle washer, and he's running around, from donor to donor to donor doing things, and from corporate sponsors who are contributing tons and tons of food, and he is the person on the line. And he needs to step back, create a structure of a team. He needs a team. He does not have a team. And the board that's in place is not very functional. They're just not. I mean, we had a board lunch and half the board didn't show up. So I invite those people in our listening audience, if you're underway, we're not just talking about if you want to start something. If you're already out there doing your passion, but you're all alone doing it, you will burn out. And then what happens to the people you want to serve?
Yeah. If you're overfunction, you're robbing a volunteer of an opportunity. So I want to start
Exactly.
with Yes, ma'am. I want to start with Dr. Theon Gordon, and I want to ask the same question, and we'll just go from Theon to Gio to Flo to David to Russell. What words would you use to invite somebody to come? What's the invitation that you'd like to extend to people listening to come to this event?
Ooh, now you're asking me to put on a marketing hat. This is really a nonprofit forum where you get to be everything. Okay, accountant, now marketing person. So what could I say to somebody who's going to attend an explosive, inclusionary, and exclusive event? I think those would be the words. It is an event that is very inclusive of this social profit community, and also very exclusive in terms of making sure that they hit the sectors that need to be hit in a very, very defined and specific way with some of the people that you brought on to help bring this to fruition. And then I would just say explosive, because the things that'll happen, just the thoughts, when each person here spoke, David and Gio and Flo, and Russ always has something great to say. I always learn something, and it's like a starburst going off in your mouth. It's like, oh my gosh, that's good. Oh, that's good. And you just want to write your little notes down So I would say it's explosive, it's inclusionary, and very exclusive for the social profit community. And it's something that you don't want to miss.
Love it. Thank you for being here today. Gio, you meet your friend XYZ on the street, and what would you say to him as to why he should come?
If you have a nonprofit and you want to have a nonprofit tomorrow, then you should come to this.
Bottom line, man, a few words. Flo, you meet Suzette on the street. What would you say to Suzette?
I would say, Suzette, how successful do you want your organization to be? How many of the people that you're targeting how many are you reaching now? And how many more could you reach if you had the right structure, the right foundation, the right volunteers, the right board, the money in the bank? Think a lot bigger than where you are right now. Not just within your local community, but how far could you go? How many more people could you reach and serve? And if you have that intention, that passion, that really want to reach more people, then you need to be here to learn how to do that and do it effectively and not do it by yourself.
David, you're at a meeting, you see your friend George. What are you going to say to George as to why he should come?
George, you need to bring your passion, share your genius, and learn to build sustainability so that we all can serve more people tomorrow.
Wow. Russell, you meet a lot of people. So what are you going to say to them? We're going to hold one in your backyard and you want to invite them. So what's your compelling message?
Well, we've got a friend in our Facebook room who has been somebody that in talking with them is going to change the face of education and the way that we deliver that. And it's about bridging and transitioning, because a lot of people have already gotten started. They didn't take time to do this extensive process or have the team. So as far as bridging, it's making connections, bridging and transitioning from a reactionary type of operation into a strategic, purpose-driven operation with teams and tools that are going to propel you forward so that you can get dug out of the mud and really get out there and make that impact, because there are big changes that people have that they can make. The innovation that my friend online here, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, and it's timely, it's needed, and the longer that my friend is stuck in the mud, the longer it's going to take us to pull our education system out of the tailspin. So I'm looking forward to seeing them, and events coming up here in the Denver area. I'm looking forward to making this available, and so all of these people that you've seen here are part of that, will be adding value. And so you can learn and gain from our experience and get resources. I've got a couple of resources on what to do as far as considering starting a nonprofit and alternatives, and then things that you should do. And those are going to be available in the SynerVision website and on my revamped website. And that's what it's about. Let us give you the tools that you need to move forward.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you, my friend. Dr. Gordon, Dion Gordon, thank you for being here. Gio Roper, thank you. Lattery, thank you. David Dunworth, thank you. It's a pleasure to know you all, and thank you for your support and your love and care of all those leaders who need your wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Happy holidays to all of you.
Happy holidays, everyone. Bye.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.